Hi, this is Chris Collins, bringing you another installment from my Agile Whiteboard video series. Today we're going to take a closer look at Kanban and Kanban boards and look at some typical ways that Agile teams incorporate them into their process. The ideas behind Kanban come to us from the Toyota production system and lean manufacturing. Kanban is a Japanese word that roughly translates signal card. Imagine that you're working in a factory putting doors on a car. You have a rack of doors that you are taking from. There would be a card hanging somewhere in the rack. When you took off the door and the card was next, this would signal upstream that they need to bring you some more doors. This is a pull system where work is pulled into the stations instead of being pushed. Kanban is used to manage flow and to eliminate bottlenecks. In Agile, when people think of Kanban, the first thing that usually comes to mind is the Kanban board. Kanban boards are powerful big visual information radiators, or BVIRs, that are found in a lot of Agile team areas. The boards make work visible. They radiate information at a glance. Just by looking at the board, you can see the state of the work items the team is currently working. This is an example of a simple Kanban board with 4 states: to do, work in progress, or WIP, test, and done. They can be as simple as to do, WIP, and done, or they can be more complicated depending on the team's workflow. The development team updates the Kanban board as they pull work from one stage to another in their team's workflow. Kanban boards are a tool to manage teams' flow and to help eliminate bottlenecks. It is all about controlling the WIP. Numbers under different states represent limits. So in this case, this team has limited WIP to 5. They cannot pull anything else from to do into WIP until they move something from WIP to test. This helps control flow and encourages the team to swarm on things in progress to keep items moving through the different stages in their process. On one of the Scrum teams where I was the Scrum Master, we were doing releases every 3 sprints. At one point during a sprint retrospective, the team noticed that we had fallen into a bad pattern where we start a lot of new stories in sprint 1 of the release and not complete all of them. Then in sprint 2, we would even start more new stories. When we finally got to the 3rd sprint of the release, we were mostly just finishing all the stories that we had started in sprints 1 and 2 of the release. Remember, in Agile, the status of a story is binary. It's either done or not done. So this pattern was not very agile and it caused us problems. It impacted feedback during the 1st and 2nd sprint reviews for a release because we had a lot of stories in progress, but you only review done stories. So we were not able to get feedback on stories we started in sprint 1 until 4 weeks later when we finally finished them. It impacted velocity because we had wide variations in velocity and we finally got to take credit for the unfinished user stories that we completed in the 3rd sprint of the release. During the retrospective, I talked about what David Anderson says is the mantra behind Kanban, which is to stop starting and start finishing. We ended up adding Kanban to our Scrum process and implemented limits to the different stages in our workflow so that we could swarm as a team to ensure that we finished the items that we had started. It really helped our team operate more efficiently and eliminated our bad pattern that we had fallen into. If you want more information on Kanban, David Anderson wrote a good book titled Kanban: Successful Evolutionary Change for Your Technology Business. If you have any questions about Agile, need some Agile coaching, or need Agile training, please do not hesitate to contact me at chris@agilitymaker.com.